was left pondering about how I don't even know what life is anymore. I, I'm just taking it day by day. When the Lord wakes me up, I just say, hey, I'll do what I can in a day. And if I don't get it done, hey, we'll see if it gets done tomorrow. Because like the Bible says, tomorrow got his own stuff going on, okay? So as I am left pondering and everything I've been seeing on social media and on my For You page and on my Explore page, it left me wondering about singleness and living the single life as a Christian. And if you grew up in church like I did, I know not everyone grew up in church, or you're just maybe coming to Christ, or maybe just starting to go to church now. Growing up in church, marriage is seen as the ultimate aimed goal, the end game, I would say. That if you are not married, or if you don't have your husband or your God ordained wife and all that stuff, it was deemed looked down upon. And it still is. It's still deemed looked down upon in some churches. I'm not going to say all, because obviously every church is different. Everybody's different. And growing up in that, and I'm trying to find the words to say that it don't come across as, but growing up in church where women were, it's more deemed upon, particularly towards the women, that God is going to send your husband. Oh, you ain't got to look for him. He's the one that's going to find you. Oh, if you just become a Proverbs 31 woman, you can get your husband, and all this great stuff, right? And usually centered around women in the church, where you have the single women's conference and they tell you how to get your husband, or they tell you what you have to do to prepare to be a wife, and you have to learn how to cook, clean. You gotta know how to pray for the man of God. You have to know how to do this for the man of God, do this for the man of God, and all this stuff, And granted, I see more now with men conferences and all that stuff, not centered around marriage, but like just centered that men have their own now to actually speak to men, which is really good. Men need their own. There's things that they go through that only they can understand. Just as women, we go through stuff that only we can understand as women, but it's usually deemed around women with marriage. Even with singles ministry and how to prepare to be a wife. And we look at Esther, we look at all the prominent women in the Bible, all this stuff. And it got me thinking. It got me pondering, as I would say, that we are never taught how to be single. We are never taught how to wait. We're never taught that. And as I'm living this single life and learning how to actually be singleness in heart, singleness where, yes, I'm not with anybody physically, but how can I be single within myself, with my heart, mind, body, soul, everything in that nature? And that we are not taught how to wait, because we're just sitting here, oh, I'm gonna pray for my future husband wherever he's at, or we see all the little TikToks or the Instagram reels of how this person, they prayed a prayer and their husband popped up, and then we're sitting over here crying, well, God, where's my husband? And it's centered around that we are not taught how to wait and steward that wait. Because what if it is that one-time prayer, oh Lord, I'm just going to be committed to you, and then the next one you send as my husband, and then he answers it just like that. But what if it takes you 20 years? What if it takes you 30 years? What if it takes you 40 years? What if you actually have an Abraham experience where it's going to take you a hot minute to get to the promised son, Isaac. What if? Because there are women in the church, there are women in the Christian community where that is happening, where there are some, they get their husband right up there, ripe age of 19. There are some that won't get their husband until they're 50. How do we go about that? How do we genuinely have the conversation of that? Because we don't have conversations like that. It's all just wait on God. Just trust God. Oh, God's timing is always, better. God's plan is always bigger. Why? All of that is true. All of that is true. Please wait on God. Yes, please trust God through the process. But what happens when you get tired of waiting? Even Abraham, we look in Genesis, even Abraham got tired of waiting. And obviously he went out and did his own will and got Ishmael. And we seen how that went. We see how that went. And that's just one example. Why don't we have conversations like this? And I am here to tell you that essentially we have to get better of creating that community, of creating that space for single people. Because first of all, marriage is not for everyone. Even Jesus says so himself. Not everyone is going to get married. Being married, marriage itself is a ministry. Not everyone's going to get married. Not everyone has the desire to get married. There are people who have the desire to get married, and that is their sole desire. Like, all of it is okay. But can we be honest enough? Can we actually step back, look at the bigger picture? That singleness is a blessing that many of us take for granted. And what I mean by that is throughout all of my social media, like obviously since it is a desire of mine, and yes, I've been engaged before. Obviously now I'm single, but I've been engaged before. Where I had that little taste that it was close. I was at that finish line. I'm like, yes. And then got stripped away from me. And so now I'm in this place where I am content in my singleness because I know that is God who I get to love on. Is God who gets to love on me. And when do we have that genuine conversation of where it's God who gets to love on you while you're single? Is God's love that teaches you about yourself. Is God's love that shows you what you need to work on. That it is the relationship with him first before we can steward other relationships. We're not even talking about marriage at this point. There's just to steward any other relationship. It is God's relationship first. We have to steward over responsibly. And it makes me think, it makes me wonder of how can we be the bride of Christ if we're not putting that relationship first? That we're so quick of, oh, well, I've been asking for my future husband, future wife, like every day. Like I've been wearing God's nerves out. Like, when is it going to be my time, Lord? When is it going to be my time? And you're not even stewarding your relationship with him. That's another video. That is another video. And I don't know. I want to hear y'all's thoughts. Because maybe I'm tripping, but I have a whole new perspective on singleness. Like, yes, do I still desire marriage, family? Yes, I do. But in God's timing, of course, in God's timing. Am I in a rush? No. Because why? It is me and God. And why should I rush? Why should I rush, expedite a season where it can just be me and God? Just because I want to be with someone else. That's crazy. You want to be with someone else who God created, but you don't want to have the relationship with the Creator himself. Come on. How do you know how are you going to take care of another person? How are you going to cater to another person to whom God created when you can't even steward your relationship with the Creator himself? And that's all I gotta say about that. Of course, and as always, it's been a while. I'm gonna start making more videos. It has been very much a while. I don't think y'all checking for me anymore. But we're gonna get back in our Zoom for sure, because I want to have conversations like these that actually we face the truth, and actually where we face true healing, of that we stop idolizing marriage. Marriage is not the end goal. Marriage is not the end game. It's not the end game. Marriage is not an upgrade from singleness. Marriage is marriage at the end of the day. That's what it is. Is marriage beautiful? Of course. I have seen many beautiful married couples that have successful marriages. I have seen married couples that didn't have successful marriages. It is what it is. But just keep a lookout. You know, I always appreciate y'all's DMs, y'all's messages. Like, I genuinely love that. The fact that I would get a DM talking about how to fast, or a DM talking about like, hey, this video inspired me, or hey, keep doing what you're doing, or hey, and just even a little encouragement. It goes a long way. I genuinely see that, and as you know, I will respond if you like DM me, text me, or whatever. I will respond. It may not be right then and there, but I will respond. But I genuinely love it, and it fills my cup genuinely, and I want to say that to all of you. But in closing, please go in the peace of God and not in pieces. Okay? Just remember you're beautifully and wonderfully made. And remember the creator of the universe thought the world needed you. That the world needed you. Little old you. Alright? So don't ever think you're not loved or not thought of. When the creator of the entire world, the entire universe, thought enough, so much, to create you and then die for you. And then he died for you because he loves you that much. Somebody need to hear that today. And I'm gonna get out of here, so bye.